Oh, hello everybody at home. This is weird. Weird to use a mic, but not hear yourself. So, Jai Gurudev, everybody. My name is Swami Tulsidas. This is Swami Aniruddha. This is Swami Akash. What are your questions? At home, people are asking why Guruji's not here. It's because it is currently 2:30 in the morning in Germany, so he's taking a small rest. So, what would you like to talk about tonight? Yes, Nish. Jai Gurudev.
We don't often get to see Guruji in person so often, right? It's part of the world. He doesn't come here. And so oftentimes when I do my japa, let's say, right, and I try and remember him, I'll go to these memories that I have of him specifically, right? To kind of get a deeper feel of him. And I want to know, is this a healthy way of cultivating a relationship with the master, by continually going in the past, right, to these experiences with him? Is this some nice way to cultivate the relationship, or can this stagnate it in a way if you're continually going? Does that make sense?
It's a very good question. So, to repeat the question for everybody at home, Nishkaladasananda asked, or he mentioned that Guruji doesn't come to this part of the world so often. So often when he's doing his japa, he's doing his meditation, he is meditating on previous experiences with Gurudev, and he's asking, is this good? Is this okay? Or is this even bad? Because are we stuck in the past? This is a very good question, and the answer is this is absolutely great. The reason is because we have to understand is that the form of the Guru is transcendental. There are actually only two things which we can think about which are not limited. Everything that we think, everything that we do is by nature limited because it is of the mind. But the name of the Lord and the form of the Guru are not limited. The Guru himself is transcendental. So when we are meditating on experiences of the past, we are what? Visualizing him. And he is transcendental. Even though it appears that we can touch Guruji's feet, at times hug him, he laughs, he sleeps, this is not true. He is transcendental. His body is beyond the five elements. It's beyond Prakriti. So when we meditate on the form of the Guru, we also transcend. And so there is no stagnation. It's not that we are thinking of the past and we're contemplating old stuff like we would with each other. Let's say we have a wonderful talk like we had earlier today, and I'm thinking about this talk very much. Of course, that is something else because we're limited. But the Guru is unlimited. Also, we have to see is that every situation we've had with the Guru, the situation itself is also transcendental. Because when we act from karma. We don't act from a place of freedom. Guruji, when he speaks, when he sleeps, when he does darshan, it is not because of karma, it is because he chooses to. So those moments are transcendental. They're not like situations that we have. So in each and every moment that we have with the Guru, there is infinite, deep wisdom which we can churn. Like Guruji has said recently, or maybe not so recently, he has said many times that we need to listen to his satsangs not once, not twice, not 3 times, but so many times that we know the satsang by heart. Because his words are transcendental. His actions are transcendental. His form is transcendental. And so when we meditate upon him, is it his form, is it his picture, or is it a situation? It is transcendental. which means it will give us realization. Next question.
Can I just something that is nice also to think. Think maybe when you're acting. Yeah, when you're acting, you're trying to not think as if you are like angry. Let's say you have to be a demon. You don't have to think as if you are angry. You actually have to go back. What a professional actor would come to you and tell you, don't think that you're angry. Actually, just go back to the moment where you were angry. Yeah, and go back and summon that emotion, because memory and like when you're thinking has this power to bring it back, to summon back that emotion. And so if you think back at the memories of your moments with the guru and what he told you, you bring back that feelings, no? So when in a few months you're going to remember you were sitting there and he was making like whatever he was telling and these stories, and then you were laughing, it's going to bring back this happiness, this joy, because you will think about it. And then he might have told you something specific for you that you felt very strongly, because maybe it hit your ego, or like it was specific instruction for you that was not so easy to digest. But even there, you keep dwelling on it and like thinking about it, and you bring back that emotion so that his grace and where he brought you to will help you to transcend it. And if you think about it, in the 9 forms of bhakti, you have smarana, there's this remembrance of the Lord. When you think at the pastimes of Krishna, the pastimes of God and all the incarnations he has, this love comes back to you because you think about it and becomes your reality in the moment.
Just to add one more thing. It's true what Swami Kash was just saying, that we meditate upon the Leelas of the Lord, of Krishna, Narsimha, Varaha. Happy Varaha Jayanti, everybody. But we have our own Leelas with the Lord. And there will be a time where people will hear about the Leelas that we've had with him, and they will meditate on those. So we should never forget the Leelas that we've had with the Guru. We should write every single one down and meditate on them and churn that infinite deepness out. Only if you want to. It's 2 a.m. for Swami Aniruddha, so just change it. I'm giving you an out. So you can say no. I'm tired.
No, well, I think you said all what needs to be said. But what comes to my mind is more like about the remembrance of the Guru and about the instructions he gives you, experience which you have. Is, I think, in general, to remember why you're on the path. Like, why did you choose a spiritual path? Like, for example, you are brahmachari. Others are initiated devotees, others are followers. But the spiritual path is obviously needs some discipline, it needs some sacrifice. Yeah, you need to change something in your life. And it is not always easy, isn't it? And there comes the time when you start to doubt, does it make sense? Because you were running away, like you tried to find a solution for your unhappiness, and you came to the spiritual path. And when that is not anymore a quick fix, yeah, your guru, and you get a nice experience and you think, hey, that's it. But then he starts to churn you and purification starts, and maybe you lose the happiness in that moment. And if you're just chasing the quick happiness, then you will run away from that again and you will search again somewhere else. Isn't it? So the question is, why did I even start the spiritual path? Who am I and why am I here? And constantly remind myself, why did I make the choice I made? To never forget what the true purpose of my existence is and why I live the life I live as a devotee or a follower of Paramahamsa Vishwananda, or a life dedicated in the loving service to God. and not to my ego and to my desires and so on and so on. Like, why did I choose that? Because it was not satisfying, because I know I have a higher purpose. I need to remind myself, and the remembrance of God, the remembrance of the Guru, the remembrance of your sufferings, all those things, they help you to actually come back. Ah, okay. Oh yeah, that was a starting point. And maybe that will give you over and over again the power to actually persevere on your spiritual path. Does ask the question if it's good to remember the experiences of the master, and so we just spoke about that.
It's working. It's just for the live stream.
Top. We had already.
You're very quiet people. Ah, so
In one of meditative writing, which is about the life of Tukaram, he's explaining like how Vitala was very like afraid by the wife of Vitala, Hanali, and he had like he's like kind of not human, I would say, but for example, when he was a kid, Krishna, there were so many demons trying to kill him, and it is not that he was afraid, but Vitala, like he has this special character, and how is that possible that he's not shaken by, for example, the demon who wants to kill him and not the bad, but when he's Vitala, he's like afraid of the wife of Tukaram.
you see, for a spiritual person, it's not what they are afraid of. Tukaram was so much absorbed in Vittal. Even Vittal, some of the experience with Tukoba, he was always very cautious of that, you know. But you have to see, the wife of Tukaram was very dedicated to Tukaram. But sometimes, even being near a great personality like that, the mind of people escape. Because what take over very often is your own pride. And that's what the saints are very fearful of. They are very cautious about that. I say, because you see, in life of a saint, they digest everything. Whether it is praise, whether it is envious, whatever it is, they keep digesting everything inside of them. So let's say in the life of Tukaram, there's a beautiful story how to show that, but how they keep away from that, you know, because they don't want to annoy anybody. In the life of Tukaram, there were once his wife was very much, always complaining that they don't have enough. Your Vittal, you are always praying your Vittal, but your Vittal is always giving us problem. So what she did, she started worshipping Rukmini. So said, Rukmini is Mahalakshmi, let me worship Rukmini. So as he was worshipping, she was worshipping, find it, Tukaram enter the house. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm worshipping Rukmini. So why are you worshipping Rukmini? I'm worshipping Rukmini because she's Mahalakshmi and she will provide for us.
And Tukaram explained to her that, look, is the Lord that give energy to everybody. He is providing for everyone. And that's the way you have to trust into it, and let Him take charge of each one. This is our life, we have given our life to Him. He said, yeah, you have given your life, but I have me, I will pray to Mahalakshmi. So after some time, of course, she got some money and she could pay her debt and buy new things and all that stuff. And Tukaram saw that, and she said to Tukaram, you see, look, my goddess have provide for me. What about your let's say, your Vittal? About giving us problem, he don't. So there is a certain pride that take over, and a certain ego that is praise, a little bit of somebody have some, let's say, they win a lottery, they will get some money, they have a better job, all the stuff. How do they perceive everybody else? As long as you are down, it's fine. But the moment you get a certain name and recognition, the ego take over. And the saints are very adverse to that, So Tukaram left home. That was his natural way, he will leave home and he will go without saying where he's going. So, but most of the time he will go to Pandharpur and be with Vittal there. So when he came, she said, okay, after 3 days he will come back. 3 days he didn't come back. 1 week he didn't come back. 2 weeks he didn't come back. A month he didn't come back. So she started getting worried. So she decided to go to Pandharpur, and she went to Pandharpur and was searching for Tukaram, asking for everybody. Nobody have seen him. And then one man said, well, you come from Dehu, I saw him there. And he's outside. Actually, it was not him. It was Vittal. Came in her dream and said, listen, don't look for your husband here. Your husband is in Dehu. He have not come here. Since 1 month he's sitting under the tree there. Go to that place. You will see your husband. So very happy she went, and eventually she found Tukaram sitting where Krishna Vittal have told him. And Vittal have said, since 1 month since you left, he have not eaten anything. And as he have not eaten, I also have not eaten. So you see that bond of relationship that Tukaram have, the saint have with Bhagwan, that is a very deep bond. And in that bond, they can make what we call Leela. It's not that Bhagwan is limited to anything. Bhagwan is not limited by anything. You see the Leela that he enacted to become the charioteer itself of Arjun. But what did he do? Have he become the charioteer of Arjun? Actually, he was the best friend of Arjun. That friendship that he cherished, that relationship that he cherished with Arjun, that's what he was praising, It's not about the master. He didn't want to show Arjun that he is the master of the universe. No, he didn't want to show that. He didn't want to show Arjun that he can control and change everything. Yes, he can, but he didn't want to show that. But as a friend, he have given himself whole to that situation. If it was a guru and disciple, what will be the reverse? It will be the reverse role. He will not be the charioteer. He will expect the disciple to be the charioteer, no? But no. He cherished that friendship that he hold. The same thing, you see. But what he cherished about with the saints is that friendship that the saints have with him. That relation, that the personal relationship that they have with him. And that is the sweet nectar of that love. And in that nectar of that love, they will act similar. Because my devotee is adverse to the situation, I will become also adverse. I will act in a way into that. Similar to that, you will see in the life of Namdev Maharaj, when there was a storm that broke his roof. What he was doing? He was repairing the house when Tukaram, Namdev saw him and said, Bhagwan, you are the Lord of the universe, why you have to do that? He said, well, I'm doing that because I'm scared of your wife. Ah, maybe the wife is very dangerous being. You know, husband, dear, please be scared of your wife, you will find Krishna. So you see, Bhagwan cherished that relationship that they have, and of course he will act into that way due to that relationship. But see, something nice.
So we can see in the life of Narasimha, or the Leela of Narasimha, is that when he first manifested, of course, he reflected, as Gurudev was saying, that the Lord always reflects the relationship. And we often see Hiranyakashipu as this great demon. But as Guruji explained, actually, behind his throne, he had a secret room. And he would worship the Lord every day, asking, please come liberate me. But they had a relationship. He had a dharma. And that dharma was to be that demon king. So when he manifested, of course, he fought Hiranyakashipu. And after he won, because obviously he won, when he sat back on the throne, and Brahma, Shiva, Lakshmi, they all went, the Saptarishis, they all went to calm him. None of them could do it. So Brahma turned to Prahlad and said, you must go, because he came for you. And of course, Prahlad never worshipped Narasimha. He worshipped Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu is always Shanti Shanti. So when he went up to Narasimha, and Narasimha was still seething with anger, still growling, he closed his eyes and he imagined Mahavishnu. And immediately he went into that Shantabhav, this great love for Mahavishnu. And with even just one tear of love was enough to quench Narasimha's cosmic anger. Because immediately Narasimha reflected the devotee. If Prahlad was different, Narasimha would have been different. But he always reflects. The Lord always reflects. There is no other reason why the Lord incarnates but to have a relationship with all of us, to experience this relationship. There's no other reason. And so the Lord takes upon himself the responsibility to lead us through many steps so that we can finally get to that place of Saint Tukram, Saint Namdev, Prahlad Maharaj, where we can finally have this pure relationship, where, as Guruji was saying about Krishna and Arjun, where Krishna wanted the relationship more than anything.
It's funny how this that is happening right now is connected with your question. Because while Guruji was talking and while you mentioned Mahipati's Bhakta Vijaya and the story of Tukaram, and Guruji was mentioned Namdev and the wife, reminded me of 1 year ago in August we went to Kenya and we were on the flight and Guruji was reading the Bhakta Vijaya and he was super excited. He was really, really happy. And he was reading it with charm and he was so much into it. And looking at this, he came to our place when me and Sarah were sitting. I said, it's so nice, the relationship between Vittala and the wife of Namdev. And then there is this beautiful part where Gajendra, Guruji spoke about it multiple times, where when Narayana comes on Garuda to save Gajendra, Gajendra's surrender, and then there is Makara there, and in the Bhakta Vijaya Mahipati is explained how when the crocodile Makara is there and Narayana is taking away Gajendra, he says, wait, where are you going? What about me? Like, why are you going away without me? Without me, you wouldn't have had the reason to call you and you would not come here. And this again shows, and that was what Guruji was saying, like this personal relationship, and you can see it, and he speaks often about how personal it is, how much they invested their personal relationship with Vittala, with Panduranga, with Krishna, and all these different manifestations of God, and how much he gives back in the same way, and he's so personally into their life, in every daily life.
Yeah, you can see that in every incarnation. Like if you take Rama Avatar, for example, when the war was over, you all know about Rama and fighting against Ravana. When they came back to Ayodhya, Hanuman was doing all the service. He was like, he's the Das. No, he was doing all the service. And Lakshman, Sita, Bharat, they all wanted to do service to Rama. But Hanuman was just too quick. He did all the service by himself. So they plotted against Hanuman. And they made a list of services which needs to be done to Rama, and they assigned it to themselves and excluded Hanuman. So Sita went to Rama and asked if that is okay. Rama wanted to look. Sita said, no, just give you a stamp on it. It's all taken care of, all the service taken care of. So Rama gave the sign, and they came back to Hanuman and said, look, we are doing this service, not you. Yeah, let us also do some service. And Hanuman was like, okay, so, but where am I in this list? And he was nowhere on the list. So he was like thinking, and he said, you missed one service. You missed the yawning and snapping service. And they were like, the yawning and snapping service? He says, yes, if you don't know when the Lord is yawning, there's evil eyes, so you must snap off the evil eyes. I will take on that service, Hanuman said. So obviously that means that as yawning is something which can happen any time, he needs to be all the time next to the Lord. He needs to be all the time having a glimpse on him, looking at him. So he was always there, and whenever Ram was like yawning, he was like snapping. So now it was getting late, and it was time to go to sleep. Sita and Ram want to go to the chambers, and Hanuman is coming along. And Sita's like, yeah, now it's my time. Like, yeah, but I have to do my service. So obviously Sita insisted, and he couldn't go along in the room. But what did he do? He went out on the terrace, and to make sure he does his service properly, he was keeping on snapping on the terrace. And now the connection between Ram and Hanuman was so strong that whenever Hanuman was snapping, Ram had to yawn. So he was the whole night through, he was just like yawning till he dislocated his jaw. Yeah? And then that is when Narada Muni came and explained why this happened. But again, the story shows the connection between the devotee, the true devotee, and the Lord. But the main point is the true devotee. Like there was the mentioning of Tukaram, Namdev, Prahlad, Hanuman. They're examples which we can strive for to become devotees as such. But they're very high ideals.
Yes, my dear, just ask. Yeah, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. I can't. Apart from the word of yogi, I didn't understand other word. Yes, this much I understand. Bhagavad Gita and the yogi. Apart from that, I didn't understand that. Yeah, that much. As no, Krishna said, he's always saying everything in Bhagavad. Mm-hmm.
This question is related to the sangha. I would like to explain a little bit sangha, and it should be founded on devotion and love and compassion and supporting each other. Because even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "Who worship me is dear to me, but who worship my devotees is more dear to me."
Then the devotee will start expecting that people will worship them.
Something about sangha retreat.
So what is your question?
So what does it mean, sangha? What is the aim?
What is the aim of sangha? You see, when you are alone, you are in a weak state. But when you are together with the same like-minded people, you're more stronger. That's why, it is very important, especially when you're at the beginning of your spiritual path, to always be among people which have the same aim as you, which is treading the same path as you. Whereas if you start to mix, there will be a state of confusion that take over. But to avoid that state of confusion, that's why it's very important to be together. In the verse that you were saying earlier, Krishna encouraged the gathering of the devotee to be, like he said, those my devotee who praise me, who sing my glory, who is focused upon me, is dear to me. But that don't just happen like that. The effort must be there. And effort means with conscious. You have to have that consciousness of what you are doing. There is a certain step by step. Chapter 2, verse 40 of Bhagavad Gita, he explained, that look, it's better you do your job with a certain consciousness. When you do it with that state of consciousness, nothing is lost. But when you do it without that state of consciousness, where you are not aware of what you are doing, then you will bring harm to others. In anything that you buy, you order in Amazon, or you go, what's it, they have IKEA, they have, okay. You go and buy furniture, what come with that furniture? A manual. You buy a medicine, what come with that medicine? A manual, no? And when you look at the manual, you have to follow the manual. Then you can build up something properly. But if you don't follow the manual and try to build up something by your own motive, what will happen? Sridhar? Do you think you will be able to build it in a proper way? You will not. So there is a certain structure that you have to follow. And in a sangha it is like that. There is a certain structure that you have to follow to make things more strong in each other. It's not about bossing each another, It's not about trying to control each another. Very often you see that. But it's not about that, the aim. But those who, let's say, have a clear understanding of the situation, of course they can help somebody else. But do you want to be helped? No, you don't want. Because you think each one is thinking, I am right. This is the problem. Yeah. I am right. My idea is the best. Everybody have to listen to me. That's why, when you try to do it according to your own ideas of things, problems start happen. Because what take over is a little ego that say I. You know? You forget that a sangha is composed of everybody. Just imagine you cut one of your finger out from your hand. Okay? You will be able to hold things, but it will not be the same. So all the 5 fingers the Creator have make it in a proper way. No? So a sangha is a sat. When the gathering of devotee happen, it have to have that 5 fingers all together. Otherwise it create mess around. So it is not about bossing people around, it's about encouraging each another. That's why you see when Krishna is talking about in the Gita to Arjun, it's how to transform. That's why I say whenever you are in sanghas, incorporate the word of the Gita. Now, if you don't incorporate the word of the Gita, what it says, there's a problem that will be. Incorporate the satsang of the Guru, which is very important also. Because one can't, we were having a discussion earlier, one can't, if you're following a certain path, you have to follow what the master is saying. If you can't follow what the master is saying, then it is not your path. Find somewhere else. No, I'm not talking about you as you. I'm talking about in general right now. You asked a question, and that question was in a general question. So why you have to take it personally for you? I'm not talking about you. I'm referring to your question only. And now what I'm answering is in general form. Yes.
Continuing on with the topic of sangha, in, for example, in the area where we are living with Bhakti Marga being newer in North America, and where we're at, Krishna consciousness is very, very rare. Is it proper to engage in sangha, engage in community with people who are devotees of Krishna, but perhaps are not necessarily open to Guru? Like you were just saying, we need to be accepting the same path, accepting the teachings of the Guru.
First, you have to be strong in your path, If you are not strong in your path, of course, associating with somebody else, which means incorporating the ideas of somebody else into it, then it will be shaky itself. Because you see, even if it is the same path to Krishna, but how you reach Krishna, it's different. So it's better to associate with devotees than not, But if that is creating disbalance into your sadhana, then it's better not to associate also with them. That's why I say first become strong into your path. Because once you are strong into your path, then nobody can shake you into anything else. Because like I said, you see, everybody will come tell you, I am the best, like you see all the war in the world, what is happening is because of religion. Each religion claims that I am the best, I am the best, I am the best. So forgot that God is that infinite divine being, it's not a limitation. We project our own limitation upon God and say, God, you all have to be what I want you to be. And you are not free. The same thing, you play the role with everybody else, you are still playing with that infinite beings also. But of course, you will never reach to that, So you hold upon that finite state of what you understand, and yet claim that it is the absolute truth. No, your mind, you're just holding upon a limitation of that truth, nothing else.
What Guruji was saying about using the manual to grow, you see, when we take prapati, when we take refuge in the Guru, he's given us the manual. So the first two limbs of Sharanagati, the first, because our goal, as our Guru has said, is the goal is Sharanagati. So we should know the limbs of Sharanagati. And the first two are very simple. The first is, try your best to do what is good. And the second is, try your best to do what is not good. But who's to say what is good? Did I say to do good? Oh, no, not. Thank you. No, try your best to not do what is not good. Yes, thank you. But who's to say, who is more tired, you or me? But who's to say what is good and not good? When we go to, here in Canada, what is good is not necessarily what's good in America, what's good in Germany. But when we take refuge in the Guru, he's the one who says what is good and what is also not so good. For example, being vegetarian or not drinking or not doing drugs. Other places would definitely say these are good things to do. But our Guru has said we should not do them, and there are reasons for that. While he has often said that we should do our japa for 1 hour a day, Sri Vittala Giridhari Parabrahmane Namaha, for 1 hour a day. Why does he say that? Because it is good for us. And we can look towards Gurudev and know that what he says, what is good and what is not so good, is correct. We can trust that manual because we have taken refuge in him. Now, another master might say something else, but that's for their devotees. When we take refuge in Gurudev, he makes it very clear what we should do and not do. And that's how we follow that manual and make ourselves strong, and also then make the sangha strong. Because often what happens is, of course, most of us, we were in another path before we met Guruji, or even we're just in the worldly path. So each culture has what is right and wrong. Often we bring what we think is right and wrong, what we learned as a child, we bring to the sangha. And we say, it should be like this, or you should act like this, or Kriti Dasi brought up the word compassion, that we should act a certain way with our brothers and sisters. But actually, we can turn towards Gurudev and see how he has asked us to act with our brothers and sisters. And that will make clarity. It will make it clear for us how we should act and grow strong in our spirituality, but also how we can support one another. Because often we might have good intention, but as the saying says, the road to hell is paved in good intention. So even though we might have good intention for ourselves or our brothers and sisters, if it wasn't given by Gurudev, it's actually useless. It's even not good. We should try to follow what he has given, and that will make us strong, and of course the sangha strong also.
Chapter 2, verse 53 of Karma Yoga, and action without attachment. If you do your action with the aim of serving the Lord, if you renounce the attachment to the result of the action, you will attain realization, God realization. And my question is, all being completely detached when there is a goal, which is God realization, does this not create a paradox with the humility of, thinking that we are...
In that question, what is prominent into that is non-attachment. So non-attachment to that goal itself. You know the goal, but non-attached to that. That's what Krishna is saying in that verse. No? That you are hearing only one part of it, the goal. but you're not hearing the path toward that goal. Yeah. So that what is very important. How much trust do you have into that? You're doing your path, yes, you're doing your all or whatever you're doing, but yet can anybody stay in a state of non-attachment? No. There is always an expectation, there's always a certain attachment in whenever you're doing something. The point is, of Bhagavan don't have any feeling for him. They just do it mechanically only. There were once, as I told a story once about a sadhu. He took a great wanted to do a penance. So what he did, he said, I want to attain Krishna, and this is my aim, that's my life. I want to attain him. I will do my sadhana. What he did, he tied himself upside down. He tied himself, not upside down, he just tied himself. And he said, from in a very high place, so when I fall, I will die. Thinking of Krishna, I will go to his loka. I will attain him. Goal is clear. Action is wrong. No. A passed-by person was passing by, and he saw him. Said, Maharaj, what are you doing? Said, I want to attain Krishna. This is my aim. And that's what I'm doing. I hang myself down. So he also said, I love Krishna also. I will also do the same thing. So he also found a very high tree. He tied himself upside down. Maybe he asked somebody to do it for him. And he was praising Krishna, waiting. And one fine moment, after some time, the rope snapped from the other fellow. And as he was falling down, he was in bliss because he wanted to find Krishna. As he was falling down, Krishna appeared and held him. He was so delighted, so joyful, and so happy. Then he had a question. Then Bhagavan, in a short time like that, I had have your darshan. How come this sadhu didn't have your darshan? He's praising to you even longer time than me. I said, well, look, you have tied yourself with a normal rope, whereas he have tied himself with an iron rope, metal rope, a chain, So you have faith in, he don't have faith. He have faith in that chain, not in me. And this is what everybody does, That yes, our goal is clear, but it have to be the way we want it. We don't have full faith in Krishna. When continuously he said, the result is not in your hand, the result is in my hand. You have just to do, you have just to act. Arjun, you have to act. You are meant just to act. You can't do anything else. But what do? We have great expectation of our result. We can't do it selflessly. We can't do it having complete faith in him. But whatever he give, that will be. No, we have to be in control. Even when we know about these verses, we know what Bhagavan have said. Which attitude do everybody do everything? In an attitude of surrender? No. In an attitude of I am doing. Even if it is I know what it is wrong. I am doing. That is more strong. You are attached to your own effort and personality, but you are not attached to him. You don't trust him fully. That is what that verse stands for. Talk.
We were walking once, it was just me and Guruji, and he suddenly asked me a question. He said, do you know what's the secret of detachment? And I had no idea. I really had no idea. I didn't know what to say. Plus, Guruji comes to you and he says, do you know what the secret of detachment is? And you're like, no, but I'm very curious to know what it is. And he said people misunderstood what Krishna explained in the Gita about detachment. And he said, detachment in the state that you are does not exist. You have to attach your mind to something. And the decision is on you whether you want to attach your mind to something that is limited or something that is unlimited. And that's the result that you will get. So I was explaining basically that in the condition that we are, where we are governed by the mind and we are interacting outside with this misidentification that we have, he says the detachment is this attachment towards that which is eternal. That will give you at the end as a goal something that is eternal. So that was something that reminded me when you were talking about this question. No, I was talking to him.
You're looking at me and you're talking to him.
No, I finished my sentence and then I turned to you.
You want to say something? No?
I can, but I don't have to.
Maybe that's not a question. Yes, sir.
On the path, we all know that there's one truth. But yet, all the devotees, if you ask everyone, we all have a different interpretation of that truth. How do we know what the truth is?
No, everybody have an understanding of the truth differently. Each one have their own mind, and of course you have your truth and everybody have their own truth. The only real truth is that knowing that infinite energy which reside inside of you, that parcel of Bhagwan which is reside inside of you, is the same Bhagwan which reside in everybody. So, and according to the level of where you stand, that's what you will view. If you are standing down, you can't know what is happening up. You have to rise, no? So that's what it is. You have to rise into that consciousness. So the truth keep changing. When you are young, you have a different understanding of the world. When you get older, your understanding is deepened. No? When you get even older, you see death is coming in front of you. The truth also gets changed. But like that, you see, for different stages of life itself, your truth have changed. Your reality have changed. But you have to grow into that. So in the spiritual path is also the same thing. When you are entering into the path, you have a certain ideas of what it is, the truth, And of course, like you said, everybody will come and tell you their own truth. But that each one will tell you according to which level they are into. But your aim is to have that ultimate reality. And to reach to that ultimate reality, you have to walk your potential, your path. Engage yourself into it. Because if you don't engage into that, you will still be in the superficial of everybody else. It's not about. It's good to hear the truth of everybody, but this is their truth. The most important thing is that you awake into. what bring you into that, what make you feel the divine more and connected. People.
Well, Guruji often said, like he said to me once, there's just one truth is Atma, Paramatma, and the relationship which they have. So one thing is, yes, we all have our truth and we have our experiences and what we think it is. But in the end of the day, we have Guruji's information, which knows the ultimate truth. And therefore, it doesn't matter what our truth is if it doesn't fit with what he says or what he teaches, then we should be ready to put our interpretation aside or try to lift it up to his understanding and not stay fixed on our idea of what truth is. So in that sense, I think we do have all the same truth, that it is about realizing the eternal love relationship with God, and that is through complete self-surrender on the highest level. So there's details which we can see differently, but that is the goal. It is a love relationship with God. It is not self-realization, it is not merging, it is not this or that, like which many other paths have different kind of goals. As devotees, we have a very clear goal, and we have to adjust our understanding to his understanding.
Yeah, ok. Ok. C'est à propos de la vie d'abord. Et je suis volontaire dans un service d'hôpital en soins palliatifs. Et donc je vois beaucoup de gens souffrir. Et Swami Tulsida gave me a mudra to help people. Yeah.
No. This is not true. Good Gurudev shared a mudra that you have given. Okay?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's
Okay.
true.
Et je me demandais, il y a des gens qui...
No, she's speaking English.
Yeah.
She spoke. She spoke with a French accent. But in
I see you and I'm so nervous. So I think I won't be able to speak in English. But I do! Oh my god! Okay.
she spoke half French and then.
Et donc je me demandais, il y a des personnes qui demandent l'aide médicale à mourir.
It's not French. She has like mixture.
I'm hearing it. Yes.
Il y a des personnes qui souffrent énormément et qui demandent l'aide médicale à mourir. Et je me demandais, moi des fois je me sens pas bien par rapport à ça, et des fois je me sens bien et je comprends les gens parce qu'ils savent qu'ils vont mourir et ils souffrent énormément. Et donc je me demandais quelle était la bonne attitude, la bonne manière de faire, quand on est confronté à ça et qu'on veut aider.
Bon, chacun a son propre droit de faire ce qu'il veut. Mais quand vous me demandez, c'est mon point de vue. Ouais. Et les gens cherchent toujours à sortir des difficultés très vite. Ça ne veut pas dire qu'ils sont vraiment sortis de leurs difficultés. Ils sont plus que c'est facile, plus ils s'ancrent dedans. Peut-être pas dans cette vie, mais dans l'autre vie, la souffrance va continuer. C'est pour ça que si, comme vous disiez, des fois, si les gens demandent à se suicider indirectement, comme l'euthanasie, tout ça, pour sortir comment dire, de la souffrance. C'est pas dans la nature du divin de prendre la vie comme ça. Ça, c'est le mental qui veut run away. C'est pas que ça, c'est considéré comme suicide aussi. Et si pas vous, mais les gens qui sont dedans, ils participent à cette action. Parce que comme il est dit dans le Bhagavad Gita, il y a une heure, l'heure quand vous êtes né, il y a une heure, l'heure quand arrivera pour vous que vous mourrez, vous partirez. Ouais. Mais si vous forcez la nature comme ça part contre votre propre nature. Ben, tout le monde veut, mais tout le monde est en train de souffrir. Dis-moi une personne qui ne souffre pas. Du moment que vous êtes né, vous prenez naissance en souffrant. Vous sortez du ventre de votre mère, votre tête est écrasée en poussant. C'est la souffrance. Vous êtes né dans ce monde, du moment que vous êtes né, vous souffrez. Vous criez, pleurez. La première chose que l'enfant fait, aïe aïe aïe, je suis venu encore ici. Hein? Où il y a la joie. Si vous ne réalisez pas le soi, il n'y a pas de joie dedans. Et c'est pour ça que les gens cherchent facilement à se sauver. Je souffre. La plupart du temps, ils ne savent pas. Nous, on pense, on dit, ouais, chacun regarde un aide-soignante, il essaye de son mieux à aider les autres, vous voyez, mais il ne comprend pas ce que la personne passe. On peut dire oui, si on pense oui, il souffre, c'est ça. Mais tant que vous n'avez pas expériencé cette souffrance, vous-même, vous n'avez pas. Et l'être humain, c'est comme ça que la souffrance de naître sur Terre et la souffrance de sortir de cette cercle de vie, de quitter ce monde, c'est plus, il est plus fort que la souffrance que vous vivez sur Terre. Mais les gens ne réalisent pas ça. Seulement quand ça arrive, que on prend la conscience de ça. Parce que vous avez oublié. Bien sûr. Quand vous êtes dans la chambre, continuez à réciter vos mantras, ça aide. Peut-être ça n'aide pas la personne physiquement ou mentalement, mais au niveau de l'être, ça l'aide.
I have a question about dreams. We know that we can meet Guruji in some of them when you want, and I wanted to know what is the dream states, what we're entering in, what world we are going in. Is it an astral world that we can read in the autobiography of a yogi, or if it's what dimension is dreams? Do you have information about it?
I was just in the dreaming state right now. I just came back. You see, in the dreaming state, here we are talking about in the dreaming state, being conscious or not conscious? Huh? So you mean a physical dream state or a spiritual dream state? Which kind of state or dream state are you talking about? Normal human being sleeping. And that they always slunder into the dreaming state. They are always in the sleeping state. You are in a confused state right now. You don't even know which state are you in. Huh? That is a clear answer, a clear question actually. When you're sleeping.
And which word is it?
It is your sleeping world.
Okay. Thanks for the intro.
Only when I come, then you can dream of me. If I don't come, you can't dream of me. Huh?
Yeah, those are dreams then, but I still don't know where I'm going. Je sais toujours pas où je vais quand je rentre dans cet état-là.
Yeah, it is not in your control, this dream.
Yes.
It is in my control. So if it is in my control, how can you have control over it? You can't have any control over it. And when you are in your dream, of course, you will have full control in your dream. When you are in when I come there, all things change. Then it's not in your control. So that time the mind is elevated. So this is the interaction between Atma and the Guru. That's why very often you will have a certain understanding. Yes, I have had a dream of Guruji. Yes or no? But I don't remember. I do remember vaguely, but I can't remember what did he say. He was there, I felt good. And then when you come back to the reality, you don't remember anything. But it's nothing to do for the mind to conceptualize upon the certain way, because the mind will understand it in a limited way. But the Atma will understand it in a different way. Your consciousness is different in a different state itself. That's what it is. The interaction between the master in your dream doesn't happen into the physical. It happens into the spiritual realm. That doesn't mean that when the master is interacting into that, he can't project it into the physical. It can. Earlier we were talking on the table itself about some experience of Andrew. No? And like that, there's so many people. Even not being in the dreaming state, in the physical state, they had experience of where the brain can't react. This is different. I'll show you the master is not limited by that. Yeah, I know. But you see, one thing for that to happen, because he was always thinking how to better himself, how to, and also that nervosity and all stuff, you have to remind. Finish? You don't want to ask them? You ask a question? You were lifting your hand. Yeah, ask Madhavadas. They will answer you, they are intellectual people.
Okay. So in chapter 13, verses 8 to 12 of the Bhagavad Gita, it describes
Knowledge.
It describes knowledge, right? And it describes all these amazing qualities, humility. So, they were asking about just different qualities, like humility, this whole list of like really amazing qualities that's considered knowledge. For example, like humility, tolerance, simplicity, and so on and so forth. So these are all really high, and sometimes we find ourselves, maybe I find myself, not exactly following all of these qualities and switching between knowledge and ignorance. Do we need to strive to do all of these qualities in order to be close to God?
Yes, absolutely. Short answer. Yes. So I think these are really nice verses, because he speaks about knowledge, and if you see in the end, he says, like, all those qualities, the worship of the master, the striving for self-realization, the awareness of the deficiency of the world, janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha nudarshanam, that this world is a world of suffering. Like this, all of this is knowledge, and everything else is ignorance. So he's basically saying you can be a doctor, professor, magister in whatever you want, but magister. You don't have that in English? Magister. Magister.
Magician. A magician. A magistrate.
Magister, I don't know. Like, you don't have that on university level? Okay, we have it. Anyway, you can have all this. You can have all these titles. You can have studied 1,000 things. If you don't have love for God, if you don't worship the Guru, if you don't develop those qualities, if you don't have the awareness of the deficiency of this world and all those things, you're ignorant. For Krishna, you're still ignorant. Like, it has no value. You can know everything if you don't know those things. Like he says afterwards in chapter 17, if you don't live according to those qualities, which are dharmic qualities, which is sat, which is truth, everything else is asat. It has no value, neither in this world nor in the next world. So, yes, you might be very rich, you might be famous and whatever, but it has no value, because today you are rich, tomorrow you're poor. Today you are king, tomorrow you are mendicant. What's the point? The only thing which is valuable is this, what he describes. And it's a very beautiful short explanation what we should really strive to know.
You have to try your best to be better. It's not that you will become perfect. There's no perfection. But you have to keep trying your best. Because you see, at least put one of the quality into action. You don't need to follow all of them.
Is the path of perfection just fully surrendering to you, and is that perfection in itself?
How do you know you're surrendering? And you have to try your best, no? And you have to keep trying until that I am doing it, the effort that I am putting into it is not there anymore. It becomes natural. As long as you keep putting an effort into it, you're engaging into it, still the ego is there. But I am doing that, You're not letting it flow. So you keep purifying. Keep peeling layers after layers. Sorry?
Trying to just work on one of the things in order to surrender.
Just take one of the many qualities that you just said right now. Which one is easy for you? Just practice that. Yeah? I thought you were asking a question.
whole Big Bang, billions of years of creation, and then it's said to come all back and start all over again. So if we, and you know, the whole Mahayugas and all those countless cycles of birth, life, death, so on and so forth, until you realize God and attain liberation. When you do achieve liberation, is it done forever and the eternal, that you never have to reincarnate again, or is it after Mahayuga is over and kind of starts again, you go through that cycle again, and if you attain liberation in this, is that constant? Am I making sense here or not at all?
Actually, the question is if you're free, or if you're free forever or not.
Free forever, kind of. Or is it like you have to come back after the Mahayuga is over, and when you start off with the Satya Yuga, you know, the whole going back and forth.
You're looking at me.
Well, I don't know. We'll wait.
There's only one way of not of freeing yourself completely. It's only when you attain the feet of Srimanarayana, nothing else. As long as you have not attained to that ultimate bliss, you know, you keep coming. And you may be fully, realized here, you may be fully aware here, but that doesn't mean anything. Here, what state here is all finite, you know, it's all limited. And that what they keep coming, thinking that I'm not happy now, I will be happy next life, I will be happy in, that will always make you drag you here. That's why I said, you have that possibility, attain to the feet of Srimanarayana by focusing the mind upon that. Doesn't mean that you can't do whatever you're doing, you do whatever you are doing, but let your mind be attached to Him. You know, find Him in every moment what you're doing. You know. That's the only place that you will never be happy. Well, that's why continuously in the Gita, Krishna remind Arjuna, my devotee are not bind, they will not come back again into the reality. But what is my devotee? My devotee is the one which is completely attached to me. There's no other way, you know. They're not attached to the world, but they still do everything. The yogis still do everything, but it's not that they don't eat, they don't drink, you know, they do everything normal. But what differ my devotee with one others, they're attached to me, and they will come to me. So that what is very clear. That what is in chapter, that famous verse what we always chant, no, Svadharma Parityagnam, no, it's let go of all these things and surrender to me. That's the only way that you can be free from that cycle of birth and death, nothing else. Once you attain to that supreme bliss, even if He want to send you back, you will not come back. I'm not here, they are there.
I wonder, is that bad to come back here because there are so many possibilities to serve the Lord here and so many saints, so many delights.
Why do you think there's no possibility in serving Him up there?
It's just that I don't know from there. I just know here, I just read like what happens. I just like read what happens here and you see it's so sweet and beautiful, like Krishna.
Well, this is beautiful actually what you just said, it's nice. We see His service is everywhere. Whether it is here or there, it doesn't matter. The most important thing that you said is a beautiful thing that you said in your question is service to Him. You know, and that is the most beautiful. It doesn't matter whether you are serving Him here or you are serving Him there. You know, that knowing that it is the same Lord that you are serving will never make you attached to this reality. And that's why the bhaktas, you know, said, no, I don't want liberation. I want to be here and serve you. Give me this life, give me many life, but which kind of life? A life of service to you. I don't want anything else, you know. There was a bhakta by the name of Nimraj, you know, great devotee of Vitthal. And this devotee was always worshipping Vitthal. He have come to a point of complete surrender. So, but you see, as devotee of surrender, but one have to take care of them. So one day, Vitthal said to Rukmini, go and help him. You know, so he said to Rukmini, you go and look after the child of mine. So Rukmini came down and as an old lady selling vegetable. And he was selling vegetable as Nimraj was passing by, and he said, please Babu, look, I have my child is crying at home. Can you please look after this bag for me? I will come back. So he said, of course, I will look after. The old lady left the bag here and she went. So he was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. The lady never come back. So he just said, okay, let me see what is in the bag. You know, quite pretty low, very heavy. Yeah. So he opened the bag. It was full of gold. So he just dropped it there and run to the temple and complained to Panduranga. Hey Panduranga, hey Vitthal, you know, I don't want all these things, you know. What I want is my eternal service to you. I want to serve you. I know these things don't bother me about it. So that is what I want. I want to serve you eternally. So that is the state of a devotee, you know, but they can't forget about him. They don't want to forget about him, you know. Please bless, but in every life I remain your devotee. I don't ask you to free me. I don't ask you to bring me to Vaikuntha even. If you want to bring me, that is your problem. That is your doing. Do whatever you want to do with me, you know. But as for a devotee, give me the blessing to eternally serve you, whether it is here or there. You know, I'm serving you. That is my aim. That is the state of a devotee. You know, nothing else. Devotee don't ask to be liberated. They don't ask, please bring me to Vaikuntha. But even if you bring me to Vaikuntha, but in the attitude of service, nothing else. But if I come up there to sit there and roll my finger, I can't be of service to you. That's no use. No. So bring me a place where I can serve.
Well, you can see that in Chaitanya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the Sikshastakam, no, life after life, let me come back to just serve you. If you read the Mukunda Mala Stotram, Kulashekara says, I don't care about this, just give me one blessing, that I always remember who I am, that I'm Nitya Das, that I'm here to serve you, to serve you, to serve you. Like, these divine incarnations pray for that. So, how lucky are we if we have this awareness? Then we're already fulfilling the purpose of our existence. No matter where we are, if we're in this world or another world. It was just now when we left, Swami Akash and Guruji were speaking about somebody whom Guruji invited to come to Sri Pithinilaya. And that person just stopped the job and everything and decided to follow the call of Guruji. And Guruji said, I don't know, people have no aim. They're just going for work, going to sleep, going for work, going to sleep. It's like living their life without a purpose. Life becomes purposeful if we know that it is in the service to Guru and God. And to have a sangha, to have Guruji, to have each another, to have Bhakti Marga, to have a place, a temple, to have an ashram, to have the things where we can actually serve and participate, do something for the Loka Sangraha, for the welfare of the world, for everybody. That is the greatest gift what we can have.
Before I met Guruji, I was in a... Oh, yes. Good night, everybody. Well, but prayers are early tomorrow.
Translating from
American. Take your Dave. Okay. So of course, I was in a different path, and then go be with Guruji, and he always spoke about service. And I remember thinking, what is this service? I don't want this service, this eternal service. I want to be free. And I always thought freedom was something like self-realization. But if we analyze service, what in the life of a saint, in the life of a bhakta, we can see that freedom is the byproduct. Because in all these other paths, they speak about enlightenment. And so people will sit, me too, I would sit for hours in a dark room staring at my little candle flame, and I would say, I'm going to become enlightened. But we can see even in that statement, it is self-centered. I want to be enlightened. I will meditate. Look at me, I'm meditating so much. What enlightenment is that? What freedom is that? That is just pride. What?
The enlightenment of I.
Ah, yes. It's enlightenment of the ego. Yes, now you have to translate. Translate. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. You're doing very good service. So, but when we serve the Guru, and we can all feel it, no? This is also what's so beautiful. We all feel it, that when we're serving him, there is this freedom automatically. Why? Because the mind is on his feet. When Guruji, he doesn't come for himself. I remember many years ago, he was traveling a bunch like he does. He came back to SPN, and he immediately, he did yagna, then immediately he did darshan, and then it was the first time he did another darshan. And Guruji was not feeling so good. And Prantapa, Swamiji, he in his way, he got a little upset, and he said, I will tell everybody now that you are sick, and they will not come for darshan. And Guruji looked at him and he said, you be quiet. And Swami Prantapa asked, but why do you do this, my lord? And Guruji's answer was so beautiful. He said, I do it for those I love. So we cannot emulate Gurudev, but there are certain things that we can look at, we can say, wow, let me strive for that. If he is serving us every day, every breath he takes is service to us. And that is freedom. We must try to do the same. And we can feel it. This is also what's beautiful about bhakti. It's not intellectual. It is something that we can feel. And automatically when there's service to his feet, enlightenment is there.
I think if you look at the Gita, even in chapter 3, when Krishna says the world is bound by action, is an answer that Krishna gives to Arjuna when he's confused about what he's actually supposed to do, whether he has to fight or he has to run away. He doesn't know, and he does not understand what he's supposed to do. And so Krishna says, remember, the world is bound by action, therefore the best thing that you can do is act without being attached to the fruits of your action. And look at all the other great personalities and king and sages like King Janaka and the others. They acted for the welfare of the world. They acted for Loka Sangraha. So if you take the story of Janaka, King Janaka, he was not just going somewhere in a cave and letting go of everything. He actually acted in the world, but with one attachment alone. There was the Lord. That's what he did. He didn't just restrain from any type of action. And if you take let's say, the conclusion in chapter 18 of Krishna, when he's drawing a few conclusions, and he talks about the tyagi. The tyagi is that one that still acts, but as an inner renunciation to the fruits of the action and to the world outside. And I think in the question that you said and what Guruji was talking about, the main problem is that until we think that I am serving, this I is the big problem all the time. Because when I think I am serving, the next question I always ask myself is, I am serving who? Me or him? And most of the time the answer is me. It might look like you're serving, it might look like you're doing the best for what you're supposed to, but if you focus on it, you might realize that actually you're serving this I. And I guess in conclusion, when once Guruji was asked, what is humility? He froze the audience. We were sitting in the light hall, it was like 5 years ago. And they asked him, what is humility? And he was sitting on his chair and he said, I don't know, I am not humble. And everybody freaked out. Everybody freaked out in the room, like complete silence, and everybody was thinking, what do you mean? And he started to laugh and he said, what do you think I said? I'm not humble. And a few people started to answer, yeah, very brave people. And one of them gave an interpretation, and Guruji said, that's your problem. You think you know me. Yeah. And so everybody was even more afraid to actually give an interpretation of why he said that he's not humble. And he said, because in humility there's no I. There's no I, me, and mine. There's no I am humble. It's just pure flowing with what is the true nature of what we are. So there would be like this actual service. When I read the stories of these saints, and when Guruji tells all these stories, what I see is that they're actually just flowing with what is their inherent nature. That is these qualities that you spoke about in that chapter, and the one that Krishna speaks about in chapter 16.
And just to round it up, because you asked before about karma yoga, in chapter 5, verse 11, Krishna says, the yogi acts only for one purpose. What is the purpose? Why the yogi? Why is the yogi acting? Huh? Why is the yogi acting? With one purpose? What is the purpose? Exactly. To purify himself. In chapter 5, it says, the yogi only acts to purify himself. Because when you act in the spirit of serving God, then the I automatically gets removed. And God gives us, Guruji gives us the possibility to serve so that we can actually be purified from the I, mine, from the desires which come along, which are like the mirror which is covered by dust, which is actually clouding us. And there's this beautiful story in the Ramayana, in the Valmiki Ramayana, where Sugriv, you know who's Sugriv? The general of the army of the Varnas. So when Ravana was about to go to Sri Lanka to get back Sita, they made the deal, no? Ram and Sugriv made a deal. If he helps him to get back the kingdom from Vali, from his brother, Sugriv will help him to conquer Ravana. But now they were ready for the battle, and Sugriv was actually afraid, to some extent afraid, to go to Sri Lanka to fight against Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Indrajit, all the army. Like, they're very powerful. It's going to bring a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, and Sugriv was a little bit worried about it. So Ram was sensing that, and he said, like, what are you worried? If I, Bhagwan, just bent the little finger of my left hand, all the demons of this universe, what to speak about Ravana and Kumbhakarna, will be destroyed. So don't worry. If I just bend my little finger, they're all destroyed. And obviously, what is the question which Sugriv asks, which I would obviously also ask, is, so what's the point? Why we're going to fight a war? Just bend your little finger. And Rama said, I'm giving you this opportunity to serve me through this battle so that you can purify yourself. And the same way, Guruji gives us the opportunity to serve him in his mission, in Bhakti Marga, in this world. Not because, like Rama said, but never think that I need you. I do not need you. Like I do this and it's all done. I give you the chance to do that. The same way we are here getting the opportunity, 100% opportunity to purify ourselves, to get closer to him. The question is, how much do we take this opportunity? Are we giving 10%, 20%, 30%? How much of the 100% opportunity we take?
Asatoma Satyamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi.
Thanks for Satguru Deva Swami Vishwananda Mahaprabhu ki.